Okay, today we're going to make chocolate, and I have sourced some cacao powder and cacao butter. The kind I'm using is from Bulletproof, so shout out to Dave Asprey, but there are many brands out there that you can use. I chose this stuff because I ordered the coffee and other things from there, and it's supposed to be good and be tested for toxin-free, mold-free, and all that kind of stuff. So that's why I've chosen to use this. I'm using some other ingredients, Vanilla Max, which is just pure, 100% pure, finely ground Madagascar vanilla beans. And I'm going to be using some organic virgin coconut oil that I sourced from Costco. Using some non-GMO Xylitol as my sweetener. The name brand of the stuff I'm choosing is Xyla. This is made from North American hardwood, and it's a sugar alcohol, so it doesn't have an insulin response like you would if you use sugar, which is why I've chosen to use that. You can also try erythritol, or some people like stevia. I find this has a taste that is as close to sugar as possible, but you got to be careful using sugar alcohols because they can be upsetting on the stomach if you're not used to having them, if you put them in too large of a quantity. So I'm going easy on that. Also, to the final product, I'm going to add some is just going to be straight chocolate, some I'll put some macadamia nuts in that I got from Costco. I've got some almonds, I've got some organic ribbon coconut that I'm going to add. So, and I might even try some pink Himalayan salt in some of them. So with the fun thing with chocolate is you can add a whole bunch of different things and make it enjoyable, whatever you're liking. Don't need too much. Bear in mind that the ingredients that I'm using here are solid at room temperature, but they melt at a temperature not that much greater than room temperature. So we don't need a lot of heat here. The dispenser I used for the hot water brings it out hot already. I'm going to put it on fairly low heat. Try not to get any moisture from the water or from steam coming out into the chocolate mixture. You don't want any condensation working into the chocolate itself. So we'll start off, I'm going to put the entire package of this cacao butter into the top of the double boiler, and then that's going to be really the bulk of the time that it takes to make this is spent melting the cacao butter. One more time, that's what we're starting with. I'll just keep stirring that, and it's all ready. If you just, we're 20 seconds in and you can already see that it's starting to liquefy here. It's starting to melt, and it'll melt very nicely, but it's going to take some time because there's quite a bit here. So while this is melting, I'm going to start measuring out my ingredients for the sweetener. Last time I did this, I just really trial and error at how much sweetener I wanted, and I did a half a cup, and it seemed to be the right level of sweetness for me. You don't have to be exact. That's approximately half a cup of this xylitol sweetener. I'm going to continue to look for maybe a type of xylitol that is not granulated like this, it's more powdery. The last time I made this, I found it took a long time to blend and to get that xylitol to mix well and completely dissolve. Okay, now I'm starting to get steam coming out here, so I'm going to just turn that down. I might even turn it right off, actually. There's probably enough heat in the pot and the water below that there'll be plenty to melt the rest of this. Once this completely melts, I'm going to add the chocolate powder, cacao powder. Next step, I'm going to actually add some of this virgin coconut oil, another fat. So you don't need to add coconut oil to your chocolate. In fact, I think a lot of people won't want to add it at all. There is the advantage, I'm looking for the nutritional value found in the coconut oil, is why I'm adding it. Probably should have had this open ahead of time. And again, it's just an optional ingredient. So how much to add is, again, up to you. I'm gonna add a few tablespoons. Yeah, I don't know, I'm not measuring whatsoever. I just dropped a blob there. Maybe one more like that. Next step, we're gonna add the cacao powder. Just gonna add the entire package. Starting to look delicious, but there is no sweetness whatsoever to what we have here. So this would not be, by most people's standards, considered much of a treat at this point. Using the whisk to try and break up those lumps of cacao powder that are remaining. It's not critical that I get every single one because I'm going to put an immersion blender in this. Next, I'm going to sort of just add some of this vanilla max, and again, I'm not measuring. I'm just going by, that's probably a tablespoon and a half or so, I'm guessing. Let's get that in there. Now I'm going to add this xylitol. Now this is the one that it does not seem to play nicely. It does not dissolve easily. It works its way into little crystals at the bottom here. And so maybe some more heat would help with that. At this point, you might actually want to taste it for sweetness to determine whether or not you want to add some more xylitol. I've made this once before with a half a cup and found that to be good for me. So I'm gonna just stick with that. I'm gonna remove the top portion of the double boiler. And again, I don't want any of the moisture getting into the chocolate. When I put this in here, I can feel that there are crystals at the bottom from the xylitol. You don't really need to do this other than to, the only purpose of this is to get the sweetener mixed in. And the first time I did this, I began to pour the chocolate and realized that it hadn't dissolved. So I'm not sure what to recommend in terms of how long to blend for. I'm going by what I feel with the immersion blender as it's on the bottom there. So I've got some molds ready. To make it pour easier, I'm going to pour it into this measuring cup. I should try not to fill them all the way because I'm going to add some nuts. And coconut and things like that, which will displace some of the chocolate. So I've got some macadamia nuts here. Costco macadamia nuts actually have sea salt on them, but salt is a great flavor that mixes well with chocolate. Some organic coconut flakes to this batch. Okay, so I'll put these in the freezer, let them harden up. Okay, so last step. We put everything in the freezer. Actually, I didn't have enough room in the freezer, and you need to have a level surface. A tip is to, in advance, make sure you clear out some level surfaces in your freezer. But I did have enough space in the refrigerator. So I was able to put the trays in the refrigerator until the chocolate solidified enough that I could then transfer it unlevel into the freezer, and I could make room that way. I did one with almonds in this Christmas themed tray, and since it's almost April, I didn't really want to use Christmas, but it's mostly me eating it, so that's all well and good. You'll find these things pop out really easy. So I'm just going to transfer some of these to this cold plate. And when I went overboard, and you can see the macadamia nuts on the bottom, so they're not going to sit flush. If you want to remedy that problem, just don't fill the molds quite as much as I did. Turn out. And again, these were the ones with the coconut. Pop out, yeah. They pop out really nicely. And then I made some off camera with almonds. I didn't have enough, so enough chocolate to quite fill all of them.